sum and difference angles. Our first one, it says use sum and difference formula to find the exact value of the trig function. Have your formula sheet. I attached it to the web page with these notes. So have your formula sheet. The one I am going to use here, because I realize that the cosine of pi over 12 is 15 degrees. So I know 45 and I know 30. So I'm going to use the cosine of 45 minus 30 to determine my exact value for this trig function. So I use my formula for my formula sheet and I plug everything in. 45 is going to be A, 30 is going to be B. So I say cosine of 45, cosine of 30, plus sine of 45, sine of 30. Watch your signs here. The cosine, when they subtract on this side of the equation, you're actually adding. Then I just fill everything in. Here's my 45, 45, 90 triangle. Here's my 30, 60, 90. So my cosine of 45 is 1 over the square root of 2. My cosine of 30 is the square root of 3 over 2. Sine of 45 is 1 over the square root of 2. And sine of 30 is 1/2. I multiply my fractions together. I already have a common denominator, and then I rationalize my denominator here. When I have 2 square root of 2 in my denominator, I just multiply by what is under the radical. So I just multiply by the square root of 2 and it distributes. So the square root of 2 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 6, and the square root of 2 times 1 is just the square root of 2. Now the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 becomes the square root of 4, but that's 2, and then we have to multiply it by this 2 as well. So we get 4 in our denominator. Okay, the next one, last page. We have these are my favorites. So the cosine of 25 times the cosine of 20 minus the sine of 25 sine of 20. Look on your formula sheet for the pattern that matches this. So we're going to go backwards this time. So I found that the cosine of A plus B equals the cosine of A, cosine of B minus sine of A, sine of B. So if A is 25 and B is 20, I'm going to fill it in on the left-hand side of my equation. So I have the cosine of 20 plus 25. Well, that's the cosine of 45. I know the cosine of 45. It's just 1 over the square root of 2. Same thing with this tangent formula. I look for the tangent formula that matches this, right? So I have the tangent of A plus the tangent of B over 1 minus the tangent of A, tangent of B. This equals, on the left-hand side of that equation, the tangent of A plus B. Well, A is 35, B is 10, so I'm just going to do the tangent of 35 plus 10. I know the tangent of 45. It's just 1. That's my answer. Okay, that's it for sum and difference. Our last section is going to be on double and half angle formulas. Again, still keep that formula sheet, but those I tend to think are a little more challenging.